Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leonard and I'm the head of PreSales for Kaspersky Asia Pacific. Today I would like to share with you Kaspersky's solutions for BFSI's organizations. I would not be spending time telling you about the threats that BFSIs face out there. I'm sure all of you are more than aware of what is going on. Cybersecurity incidents have become mainstream news, and it is not uncommon for news on threats to be featured on a daily basis. Instead, I would like to spend the next 15 minutes sharing with you on what solutions you can consider to help mitigate against the risk of those threats. In Kaspersky, we have divided our solution portfolio into three main groups: Security Foundations, Optimum Framework, and Expert Framework. Each of these groups are mapped to different stages in the defense against cyber threats. At stage 1, where we categorize the broader threat landscape, we have security foundations. Organizations need to have their foundations in place to address the typical commodity threats. Otherwise, these threats will just add to the noise and load when dealing with more advanced threats in stage 2 and 3. At stage 2, this is where the threats become more evasive. Attackers have taken the steps to try to avoid detection, and in this area, our Optimum Framework solutions come into play to help organizations to detect and identify these threats. Finally, at stage 3, the most advanced and complex threats exist. These are the targeted attacks from nation-states and other APT actors out there. At this stage, we have our Expert Framework solutions that will help build up as well as supplement organizations' cybersecurity capabilities. Across all of these three, we have of course got our strong premium support and professional services offering, as well as our managed detection and response service offering to help organizations across all stages. In my dealings with clients across the Asia Pacific region, 4 solutions stand out with my BFSI clients. So they are Kaspersky Hybrid Cloud Security, Kaspersky Anti-Targeted Attack and Detection and Response, Kaspersky Threat Intelligence, and finally Kaspersky Fraud Prevention. Let me give you some details on each of them now. First, our Hybrid Cloud Security. Gone are the days when your infrastructure is kept nicely and securely within your own data centers, where you have full control over everything. Now, with the need for scalability and efficiency, more and more workloads are being virtualized as well as moved to the cloud. This causes a new set of headaches for the IT teams. They need to ensure that all their workloads are adequately protected and also have the visibility on the security posture for them. At the end of the day, regulators do not care whether your server is a physical server, a virtual server, or sitting in some cloud platform. To them, it is just your server that you need to protect. Our hybrid cloud security has been engineered to exploit the technological advantages of hybrid clouds, by dynamically following infrastructure changes and delivering powerful security with optimum speed and resource efficiency. If you are using virtualization, as you spin up more VMs, our solution will continue to scale up to ensure complete data protection. It is the same for public clouds. Whether your workload is sitting in AWS, GCP, or Azure, as instances get spun up, protection is automatically added to these instances as well. Also, regardless whether your workload is on a physical server, a virtualized machine, or in the public cloud, all of them will report to the same Kaspersky Security Center for centralized management. This will ensure that you get a consistent view of the situation across all of your workloads, right? Next, I would like to talk about our Kaspersky Anti-Targeted Attack platform with EDR, or Endpoint Detection and Response. We can divide this solution into 2 main sections, right? Network and endpoint. So Kata, or Anti-Targeted Attack Platform, Kata takes in telemetry from email, web, and network traffic, as well as works together with our EDR client to gather the endpoint telemetry. All that information is fed into the central node that includes a big data machine learning component to help analyze the information to identify potential threats. At the endpoint, we have the Kaspersky Endpoint Detection and Response Solution, or now we just call it simply KEDR. This is an expert-level endpoint detection and response solution that would allow for the monitoring and visualization of telemetry data to assist with the detection of advanced threats. KEDR can also be used for proactive threat hunting. The results of all of these solutions would then assist with incident response and investigations, and it would provide the full telemetry data as well as retrospective analysis of past data to link old events with the current to establish possible incidents. For example, in the past, there could be just some small signals that's coming into your network, but you will not associate them with anything. But after a few weeks, when more of this happen or something correlates happen, you will now be able to correlate the old events with the new events and determine, hey, this could be an advanced persistent attack against me. Okay, I would like to also take a moment here to briefly mention threat hunting. Based on the current trends of cybersecurity incidents that we are seeing, it is becoming more and more vital for your organization to implement some form of threat hunting. A recent example that comes to mind is the SolarWinds issue. This was discovered only because their customers proactively did threat hunting in their environment, and that's how the whole incident was discovered. So do strongly consider performing threat hunting for your own organization. Or if you do not have the capabilities at the moment, do reach out to us and we can share our managed detection and response service with you. The next solution I want to talk about is on Kaspersky Threat Intelligence. Now, no army would go into battle without knowing more about their enemies. Similarly, no country would organize their defenses without knowing what are the threats out there. In the cyber world, the same holds true. You need to know who your enemies are and what are the threats out there. This is where threat intelligence comes in. There are various forms of threat intelligence, as you can see on the slide, right? At the lower left, technical, this is where threat intelligence, or TI for short, is integrated at the machine level. A typical example of this would be threat data feeds. As you deploy a SIEM tool to collect the logs of various security and network solutions, threat data feeds would help to correlate the information in the logs with known bad or good indicators. For example, if your firewall logs show a connection from an endpoint to a known botnet command and control server, you would be able to guess that the endpoint has been compromised and you can take the next necessary actions. Moving along, next at the lower right, we have operational. This is where TI can be used to help SOC teams to get more visibility into incidents and help provide context of the indicators at hand so as to reduce possible damage. Kaspersky services such as Threat Lookup and Cloud Sandbox provide incident responders and security analysts the ability to find out more information about that incident. For example, after they have identified the machine that was connecting to the command and control server of the botnet, you can now enter the IP address of that CNC server into our threat lookup to get more information on that machine. In addition, from the details that you derive from the threat lookup, you will be able to identify that there is a suspicious file on that machine. And now you can take this suspicious file, upload it to our Cloud Sandbox, and it would detonate in the sandbox. And your security analyst would now be able to get the full data and details of what actually this suspicious file does, what file changes, what registry changes, and whether it's potentially malicious or not. Okay. Next, above operational at the upper right, we have strategic TI. This is where it allows you to understand the risks of that's facing your organization, right? By knowing where your own organization is vulnerable and whether your organization is being targeted, etc. Right? So Kaspersky's service for this is the digital footprint report. With this service, Kaspersky analysts would perform an external analysis of what has been exposed from your organization. For example, we will be able to determine if the web server that you're using has been properly patched or is vulnerable to any exploits, or if the DNS server you're using, is adequately protected as well. In addition, we would also comb the dark web to identify if there are any sellers of confidential information relating to your organization, if there's any chatter in the dark web about plans to attack your organization. And with all of this information, we will provide them in a report to you, and you will now be able to take the necessary actions to plug whatever gaps you have in the security posture and to adequately defend your organization. In addition, with this report, which shows you the true information of how vulnerable your organization is, it was going to help you to justify budgets and staffing requirements to your upper management in order to defend the organization there. Finally, at the top left, we have tactical. So tactical TI is going to help you and your organization keep you informed of what are the major threat actors. What are they doing? What are they currently targeting? How do they target, right? And with all this information, how you can defend against them, right? They will include information that will also allow you to improve your threat hunting missions. If you remember, I said threat hunting is now a very important activity that you need to do. When you know what the bad guys are doing out there, it now helps you to know what to hunt for in your organization, right? So Kaspersky offers APT and financial threat reporting for this. And this is where our researchers they'll be tracking the major APT and cybercrime groups to discover what are they doing, who are they currently targeting, and how do they target, right? How do they launch these attacks? Okay. So after they get all of this information, they will write up detailed reports on them with an executive summary, a description of the attack, and as well as full indicators of how the attack takes place. And this will be shared to our subscribers of this service. So for example, a researcher could be tracking down a known APT threat actor and discover that they are launching attacks on financial institutions in neighboring Sri Lanka, for example. And in this report, we would indicate what and how the attackers are doing, how are they performing the attack, what are the steps they are taking. And with this knowledge, you can now take the necessary precautions in case the attackers start to focus their attention on BFSIs in India, so you can defend yourself there. And this slide here just shows how our various threat intelligence offerings map to the various tiers in the Security Operations Center, right? Some are valid across all of the tiers, such as threat data feeds, whereas others like Threat Lookup and Sandbox are more focused on Tier 2 and Tier 3 operations. Finally, I would like to touch on Kaspersky fraud prevention. With more and more companies having to embark on their digital transformation journeys, they are having to adapt to having their customers reach them digitally. This creates a new set of potential issues of online fraud, whether it's user fraud or transaction fraud. And so Kaspersky's fraud prevention solution covers multiple features and functions, right? We assist with advanced authentication of your customers that's trying to access your systems. And this is done via continuous authentication and will help you to reduce your second factor costs, right? We also provide automatic fraud analysis, right? Where we would perform real-time detection and analysis of in-session events. If the transaction looks suspicious, we will alert you. We also have global entity linking and mapping to help with account takeover incidents, new account fraud. Right? In addition to these two solutions, we also provide fraud intelligence feeds. This is similar to what I mentioned on threat intelligence earlier, where we would use our global database and network of researchers to identify what are the malicious stuff out there. So here are some use cases that Kaspersky Fraud Prevention covers. So good user verification, we help you to seamlessly authenticate your legitimate users, providing a good digital experience for them. New account fraud detection, this will help you to identify if there are multiple fraudulent accounts, how they are connected. Account takeover detection, where we provide proactive real-time discovery of account takeover events. And finally, as mentioned, fraud intelligence to enrich your monitoring solutions. Right. With that, I have come to the end. Do remember to visit our virtual booth should you have any questions or if you would like to access our solution brochures. With that, I would like to thank you for listening to my presentation. Have a good day and enjoy the rest of the event. Goodbye.